Bog 1.
Good evening. How are we, boys? James, how you feeling?
Very, 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 very good. Very.
Come on. Very good. Doing very well in this hoodie I have here. Well, just look, little sneaky peek there. I just gave you one.
Is that your merch?
Yeah, bro, yeah. But enough of the merch. I feel we've plugged it way too much. Don't want to open.
That's cray. Anyway, hey everyone, welcome to the stream.
How are you guys? I want to hear some. Who can we shout out? We can shout out on the stream.
James.
Rotted.
Right,
someone's dissed in your forehead, bro.
Leon, just calm yourself down. All right. Boys, are you seeing the chat messages as well?
Yeah, I'm looking now.
Do you want to give some people some shout outs?
Shout out Logan Oliver. He's back.
Ooh,
come on.
Back.
Whatever that means.
Back here again.
Right. Logan says, "Notice me." I noticed you, bro. It's okay.
Noticed you. I think there's a little bit of a delay from when they message to when we.
Josh Revenant says, "Repping the merch." Yeah, we are always.
Oh yeah. You were born wearing the merch, weren't you, Jonathan?
Huh?
You were born wearing the merch.
I have the merch permanently tattooed on my arm. There we go.
Yo, that's you're committed, aren't you, bro? To tattoo something like that.
Damn.
Yep.
Bro.
That's crazy. Alright, how's this?
Who wants to see the latest robes drop? The latest merch drop?
Oof.
I've actually got like a sneak peek. If anyone wants. Do you guys want to see?
Yeah, do it, bro. I'd love to see it.
Like, if they want to see, if you guys want to see the newest drop, it's dropping next month. Then you have to comment right now. Show us the merch.
Yo, you're gonna like it, bro. You're gonna like it a lot.
Do it. Oh, that's my WhatsApp going crazy. Sick. Well, hey, I think we should keep it rolling, shall we, lads?
Let's do it.
I want to see this new merch, man.
You want to see the merch?
All right, show us the merch.
Okay. I will put the merch on. Give me 1 second.
I'm intrigued now, I have to say. I don't actually know what this is. I reckon he's just drawn on a white t-shirt.
James, what do you reckon it is?
Yeah, I reckon you just got like crayons, and you've just like drawn a smiley face on something.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon that's what you did.
I definitely saw a white t-shirt. Yeah, that's white. I'm seeing that right now.
I think so.
Potentially.
Come on, man. You're teasing us too much now.
Alright, should we do a countdown? Hamish, do a countdown.
Yeah, lead us, bro. I want to see a countdown on the stream.
What, people streaming a countdown?
James, lead us, bro.
Alright, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
New drop coming out next month, boys.
Wow. I think if I wear that, I'd probably be put down as racist.
Just
what?
Chilling with the man then.
Do you think I actually would be able to wear that, bro, without being killed?
Without being killed? I think that's pretty magical. That's pretty.
You guys like my boys?
Yeah, it's good, bro.
They're part of youth as well. Trust me.
Really?
Whoa.
Who are their names?
That's Logan. That's Adam, and that's Abs.
Whoa. Oh, they're definitely.
They look a bit different than they usually do.
I was gonna say. They're
Abs
like
got a
done
new
something different.
T-shirt.
Right. Yeah, very nice.
That's hilarious. All right. Okay, Jonathan, tell us what's up, bro.
Okay, we have a new game that we're about to do.
Oof.
The game is called. We can actually decide the name. I'm going to call it the Road Squads. So basically, each and every single one of us is going to change our background to a picture of one of the other hosts, and then we're just going to laugh at each other.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, James, why don't you go? Wait, no, James, you go first. Seeming you invented the game.
Okay, I will go first. Who wants to see my friend? Give me a second. Let me just
I'm pretty keen to see it.
Oh, hey Hamish, how you doing, bro? Wow. How's it going? Bro, can you pass me my glasses? Thanks, man. Cheers.
Whoa, Hamish, you just look amazing in that. How old are you?
12.
12.
Hamish, how old actually are you?
Yeah. Come
I'm
on.
16.
Be real. That is
Actually,
magical.
that was taken on the 6th of April 2016.
Bro, that was taken last week, don't lie.
Yeah. Actually, you can see on the background, if you move your head a little bit more, bro.
Oh yeah, what's
I'm
behind you?
actually making a James Bond film there.
Whoa. Who's James Bond?
I think my friend Tom was James Bond.
Whoa.
No, I was James Bond. I was James Bond. He played every other character.
Wait, Hamish, why don't you show them the real James Bond? The real James Bond?
Yeah, well, that being said, so
Wait.
just a little disclosure.
Wait, shouldn't I show you my Hamish one though first? Before you show the real James Bond.
Fine. You show me.
Alright, I have to do it a little way. My camera's a little bit funny, so I've had to change what it is. Are you ready? You ready for this?
I don't know if I am, but...
Alright, here is Hamish in his pure beauty. Alright, you guys can't see it, but it's on the screen right now.
Well, I'm sure whatever you're seeing, I'm sure it's good.
It's the one that I sent you earlier with you in the dress.
Yeah. I like wearing dresses.
Can you tell us why were you wearing a dress?
Bro, I
No,
can't
I
see it on
actually
the screen.
can't. I don't really know why I was doing that.
Oh, yeah, right. I see it now.
I don't know why I put a dress on.
I think-
seem to think your house changed.
Yeah, in the background there's Fortnite. You can see there's Fortnite in the background. I think you just ran my house playing Fortnite and you just randomly found a dress. I mean, I don't know why there's a dress, but
I
you
tend
found a
to do that
dress.
quite a lot to put on my friends' dresses.
Yeah, it's a pretty casual thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, all right. Shall we? What was this about the
Tom
real James
definitely said
Bond?
this will haunt my dreams.
Say again.
Tom said this is gonna haunt my dreams.
What, bro? What do you mean? That's going to compliment you. Alright, before I put this one at James code up, I need to just put a disclosure out there for both me and Jibs.
Oh,
What
no.
you're about to see is going to be very scary, intimidating, and you're going to have very scary dreams about this terrifyingly terrifying.
It's a pretty cool photo.
Just,
I'd
look,
say.
if you're easily offended, look away.
Oh.
Here we go, guys. Here he is.
James, please don't shoot me.
He actually was offered the part of James Bond, but said no.
It's true.
Because he was going to be too good for the part.
It's true. I don't want to show down Daniel Craig. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm not gonna lie, James. You actually do look pretty good in this one. I think you do look quite James Bond-esque.
Just like holding a gun, and I'm like,
Other than you got one of those little like band things there, which doesn't really look very James Bond.
yeah, that's true. Unless
There's
he was
no
like,
in the background.
unless he was like at a
It's-
party or
it's-
something.
It's WWJD, but it's not what would Jesus do. It's what would James Bond do. That's what it says.
WWJBD. Something like that. All right.
Yeah.
What have you got, Jibs?
So, guys, obviously, as we know, coronavirus is quite dangerous. It's a real thing. But I have actually found something that's more dangerous than coronavirus.
Oh, really? What's that?
You sure you want to see it?
I don't know. How is it PG?
Here it is.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh.
I am scared.
Just to give you some backstory behind this.
Wow.
So James was actually he was about to get into a fight, and the other guy had a knife, and there was 4 people. 2 of them had knives, 1 had a gun, and 1 had a rocket launcher. And rumor has it James defeated them all with a cup of snow.
It's true. It's a
Oh,
true
wow.
story. I mean, I haven't actually told anyone yet, so you just disclosed it. But
Yeah, that's,
I can't
that's
tell you how
actually
many people I
genuinely
killed
what
though. It was quite a dangerous fight, but
That's crazy,
happened.
James.
His beret is actually bulletproof.
Yeah.
In case anyone was wondering.
it's true. You can't shoot my head because I'm wearing. Well, I'm not wearing it now, but if I was wearing
Well, I
it,
think something more scary than any of that has got to be this one.
what's that? Oh my goodness!
Gang.
Whoa!
What's you doing, bro?
He's
That's
a
what-
cute
that's brilliant.
guy.
And the most scary thing about this photo is the background you put, bro.
Yep.
Well, the Christmas background.
It was definitely not Christmas when I chose that background.
You just felt like the Christmas spirit.
Have some of those ones in as well.
Oh man, that is magical. That is so good.
Gibbs, how old were you in this one, bro?
Huh?
How old were you in this one?
As old as I needed to be to take that photo.
That Hamish, that is disclosed information, all right? Like you're not allowed to know that kind of thing.
Alright.
That's
James,
top
why don't
secret.
you show us one of Mr.
Are you sure you want to see the photo? So to set a scene, if you don't know who Jibbs is, basically he has a mixture of different personalities, different kind of characteristics. Like some people say he's nice and cool and calm. Some people say he's smooth with the ladies. Some people say he is scared of spiders. But
Nope. Wait, what?
it's true, right? You're scared of spiders.
Sure. Okay.
It depends what size though.
Yeah. I'm
Apparently-
scared of Spider-Man.
Apparently the smaller the spider is, the more scared you are of it.
That's very correct.
Anyway, I've got one word to sum up this photo. And I think I'd say it is just madness. You ready? Alright, here it is. Wait. Here it is.
Wow, the tension. Wow. Wow.
It's just, I don't know.
Wow. Fam, your hair looks like a pineapple. It's so tall.
It does look like a pineapple.
My hair looks like a wet mop, Hamish. Sorry. I'm very easily offended. Sorry.
Ouch. I think it's a pretty cool photo.
I think it's very.
I think, hey,
I
in the
think the
chat,
best part about that photo is the fact that I was actually driving.
you well, you weren't driving though. You were in a
Yeah,
car.
I was, bro. Don't worry about it. I was driving.
Okay.
Definitely weren't driving. You're in the back seat.
Yeah, I was driving from the back seat. No one was sitting in the driver's seat.
Anyway, how about this? Should we
put the
put
gas pedal?
should we put a vote in the chat that if people think it's good enough, it should be your new profile picture on like Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, I vote for that.
Like if you vote for
If-
that,
if-
give us a thumbs up. If you don't vote for that, still give us a thumbs up. We'll see what people say.
Okay, if everyone votes for that, I'll put it on my Instagram for 24 hours.
Whoa. That's,
Wow.
That's pretty good. I'd say.
The wages are high.
I think that's a pretty good deal if you ask me.
Check out this one I found.
Whoa. He's done a collage of your beautiful face.
Tom said he looks like he's about to drop a trap mixtape. And that's stunning. Thank you. Ashton.
That's very true. Alright, I want to see these thumbs up. Where are the thumbs up? Yes, profile picture. Okay, I think people are voting for the profile picture, bro. Like, I don't want to scare you, but I think it's going to happen. So,
That's,
I think people want it. They've got it. Alright, whoa!
Whoa. Okay.
Flip.
Yo, Jibbs, go back to the one of
Who's that
James in the
cool
army.
kid?
Alright, James, where are you actually looking, bro?
Well, if you move to your left...
Nope. Not
Okay,
moving.
move to your right. I've got my phone
No,
there. I'm
you're
taking a
taking
photo.
photos.
That was actually in New York. We were taking photos, Jess and I. We
Sorry,
were just like
my
around
boys,
about.
boys, go away. I'm on live. I'll talk to you later.
Yo, James, go back to the one of James with the snow.
Oh, okay, that's not the snow.
It looks like he's your bodyguard, fam.
All right, let me just count these thumbs up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got like at least 11 thumbs up. So I think it's pretty much a done deal.
Yeah, I'll put it. I'll upload it. Send it to me. I'll upload it on my Instagram.
Wait, but you're not going to do your profile picture?
Huh?
But you're not going to
Yeah,
set
he
it
did
as
say
your profile?
Instagram too, yeah, James.
Oh.
He did
I'll put it on
me.
my profile picture if you want.
Yeah.
But Instagram profile picture is gonna be small. No one's gonna see it.
Okay, do both.
No one below the age of 20 knows what Facebook is anymore.
Yeah, but do it on Instagram though. On Instagram, your profile picture.
Yeah, but it's tiny. No one's gonna see it properly. I'll do it though. I don't care. I'll do it.
All right. Okay. Should we play something else as well?
Yes.
All right.
Let's play another game.
So we got a
This
new
was
little game.
boring.
Hamish, what is our tagline for this? Can you introduce it for us?
Verve Youth Online, where we put you on the line.
All right. What does that mean, bro?
Hamish, I swear we spoke about this. We said we weren't gonna use that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just think it sounds pretty good.
Like, what does it mean to put people on the line? Tell us what we're gonna do.
I don't know. It just rhymes.
It does rhyme. You're not wrong there. Are
Hamish
you?
considers himself a little bit of a poet.
Are you?
Well, I think I am. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
give us a quick 10-second poem?
Yes, I will. I will.
What have you got?
Here we go.
Spit some
There
bars.
was once a crafty old spider who lived in the top of a cave. He tuned in to Verve Youth Online, and it was so good, he had a rave. Yay!
Wow.
Wow!
That
Thanks.
is
Oh, thanks, Jack.
Just wow, that's magical. That's just that
Thanks.
deserves like a medal or something. All right. Anyway, Verve Youth Online, where we put you on the line.
On the
What we're
washing
gonna
line,
do?
apparently.
What?
Where we put you on the washing line.
We could do that as well. Although maybe when the this semi-lockdown is over. But
Hamish, Maisie said happy birthday.
oh yes, that's true. Hamish, it was your birthday yesterday, bro.
Let's sing Hamish happy birthday.
Oh, wait, shall I play Happy Birthday?
Just sing it, bro. I want to hear a real.
No, but we gotta, you know, we gotta do the whole thing. Like, we can't do a half job of it. All right.
Wait, Francisco, if you're on this live stream, comment well gone now.
Come on, get those comments. All right, I'm just gonna play whatever's at the top. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Jonathan, are you ready to sing along with me?
Yes,
And
sure.
people at home, if you're ready, we're
One
gonna
sec,
sing
let
along.
me get my boys to sing with us.
Your boy?
Yeah. No, sorry, not these boys. These boys.
All right, are we ready? I don't know what this
Yeah.
video is gonna be like, so let's just play it anyway. Are you ready? Here we go.
Infobells! Happy birthday,
Hamish.
happy birthday,
Hamish.
happy birthday,
Hamish.
from good friends and true.
I don't know what is it saying.
What language? It's German.
No, it's English.
That's not English, bro.
Oh wow. There you go. Happy
Boys, I don't
birthday,
hear you
Hamish.
singing. Come on now.
Come on, let's make some noise for Hamish. Happy birthday, bro. Well, no,
Yeah,
you know,
bro, why
you know-
weren't you singing to me there?
Say
Huh?
again?
Why weren't you singing to me there?
Huh?
Why
I
weren't you
wanted to hear
singing?
you sing.
My boys said I'm not allowed. Sorry.
Can you
Ah.
sing in Arabic? Happy birthday for me.
One sec. Let me ask my manager. Am I? He said no. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh
Let's
man.
try.
All right. Anyway, boys, let's go back to it. Verve Youth Online, where we put you on the line. What we're gonna do is we're gonna call up two random people who are on the chat right now, and we are gonna like interview you, like a 1-minute interview. Is that all right with you boys? If we do that,
That sounds great.
Sounds good, man.
I'm just going through the chat now. Let's not say who we're gonna do. Like, let's keep it completely spontaneous. I don't know. If you guys got any thoughts, as in Hamish and Jonathan, just put it in the group chat. I don't know what we're gonna do. Just seeing who's been messaging us. All right. I don't have their number. Jibs, do you wanna call
Someone make
them?
a case why it should be. I want to hear some good reasons why you think. it
Okay.
should.
Cool. I'm gonna call this person.
All right. Jibs is gonna call this person, and we're gonna put them on the line. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's make sure they know it's PG.
Okay. This is PG. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless this person's using their phone to watch the live stream.
Oh, true. Oh well.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Logan!
Hey, Logan!
Am I featuring on the live stream?
You're on the
You are
live stream.
on the
bro,
live
so-
stream. Welcome, bro.
Ah! Hello, everybody.
Logan, tell us how you are.
I'm Scott. Do you want me to join back on the live stream?
No. Let's talk on the phone.
We're
for like
going
1
to
minute.
interview you for 1 minute, Logan. 1 minute of just finding out who you are and what you're doing.
Right. So, my name's Logan. I'm 16. I'm a stay-at-home lad because we have to stay at home, and yeah, pretty much it.
Whoa.
Quarantine, dead.
One fun fact, Logan.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
I live in a house.
Whoa.
That's really good. Logan, you need to
That's
sing us
filled with
a
joy.
quarantine song.
A quarantine song.
Please don't.
It has to be improvised on the spot.
Okay, quarantine, Boris Johnson, coronavirus is bad,
Whoa.
chicken nuggets, McDonald's, yeah, stay at home,
Okay,
don't go outside.
that's enough now, Logan. Thank you.
I'm
Bro,
talking about
what's one tip you have for young people of what they can do to pass time while stuck at home?
Right, so you can either play Minecraft, play Fortnite, read the Bible, learn about Jesus.
That's the
Come
correct
on.
answer.
That's the correct answer.
What, Fortnite?
No, the Bible. I mean, that's not a bad answer, but I'd say Bible was pretty good as well.
Yeah, just do like praying and get to know Jesus during this time, because
Oh, come on.
Come on.
yeah,
Shit.
because he will help you through this time.
Let's go, Logan.
Preach it, bro.
Thank you.
Flip, we should get you preaching next week, shall we?
Yes, just ring me if you need me again.
All
To
right,
make
we
it
will.
my parent.
we will ring you. Don't you worry, bro. Just
Thank
wait
you,
for a
Logan.
call.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, dude. See you in a
Bye.
bit.
Bye. Bye.
All right.
Number 2, people make your cases. I want to hear good reasons why you should appear on the live
A
stream.
legend. Yeah, tell us why you want to be on the live stream. I think my browser's frozen. Oh no, it's good. We are good. Yeah. I think we should do a girl this time. What do you reckon?
And prepare your quarantine song now.
People are saying great singing, Logan.
It was pretty great.
Apparently he's the new hit rapper.
I'd say so. I think it was pretty good.
Fortnite plus Bible. Yes, chef.
I think I've got an idea who to call. I'm just going to message
Yeah?
you guys, see what you reckon. Hopefully I've done the right chat. Alright. Okay. I'm going to call this person, shall I?
Yeah, do it.
Alright. So, let me...
Who's it gonna be?
Boom. Okay, let's see how it goes. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi there. Are you with Taylor?
She's in the office. Yeah.
Is there any chance we could just chat to her live on the stream?
Yeah. How do I do what? Just with my phone?
Yeah, just on the phone. We're just randomly calling people up who are on the live stream.
Okay.
She's already realised that it's her.
I can't believe Ian hasn't played a small assistant after a thing.
Taylor?
I'm not doing this.
Hey Taylor, how's it going?
Hey, Taylor.
Yo.
Why not?
Taylor,
Taylor, can
you
I-
were live on the line with Youth Online. How's it going? How you doing?
I'm good.
What are you up to at the moment?
Not much.
Whoa. Boys, have you got any questions for Taylor?
Yeah, I want to find out who this personal assistant was. Right.
Oh yeah, tell us. Wait.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us like who you are and what you do.
Wait, I'm. Hello.
Hello?
Wait, where's actually going?
If you tell us who you are, Taylor. Hello.
I'm so confused.
What do you mean you're confused? Just tell us who you are. Okay, let's make it easy. What's your name? Taylor. Okay, how old are you?
12.
12. What school do you go to?
Kings.
King's. Oi oi. And what subject is your favourite subject?
Art.
Art. That's cool. You like art, don't you? You're pretty good. What do you do? Drawing, don't you?
Yes.
Very nice. That's so cool. Hey Jibs, have you got a lockdown quarantine question for Taylor?
I just want to hear her quarantine song, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Do you have a quarantine song? Do you have a song you can sing us?
No.
Oh, why not?
Because that's just sad.
Can you just sing us any song?
No.
Oh, come on. Okay, what if you sing it with Hamish?
The quarantine
Huh?
song only comes out. No.
What did you say, Hamish?
I said the quarantine song cannot be forced, bro. You know the rules of the
Oh,
quarantine.
okay, it can't be forced. Are you sure you don't want to sing for us?
Definitely.
All right, well, hey, it's been great chatting to you. Tell us this one thing. What has been the food you've eaten the most whilst you've been at home?
Question.
I don't actually know everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wow, like literally every day you've eaten everything.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
That is a lot of food.
That's a lot of food. Well, hey, thank you for joining us for Verve Youth Online, where we put you online. We'll catch you soon. All right, see you soon. Round of applause for Taylor. Woo! I just cut her off. That was quite
How are our
funny.
backgrounds, bro? Is this good?
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
Good
All right.
surround.
All right, that was quite fun. Hey, if you are watching us, we want to say thank you for tuning in to us. We know your lives can be busy with homework and other such really fun stuff. But hey, we appreciate you joining us, especially in this kind of crazy time with what's going on with the coronavirus and not being able to go to school and go out and about and that kind of stuff. Real quick, boys, what's this week look like for you guys? Like, what you been up to? Like, Hamish, what you been doing?
I've just been doing uni work really, like working 9 to 5, which is still pretty crazy. Well, attempting to work 9 to 5. Realistically, it's probably 2 to 3, but I'm trying to work 9 to 5.
That's cool. Have you been out much at all?
I mean, I live in the countryside, so loads of walks and stuff, which is nice.
Very nice. That's cool.
But yeah, I'm actually quite liking the slowing down.
That's
It still
awesome.
sucks. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's
it's
cool, man.
cool.
That's cool. What about you, Jibs?
What have I been doing?
Who knows? Sleeping?
No, me.
Isn't that
No,
like your
I've been going
favorite
on a little
activity?
walk. I found like a really cool hill by my house. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like you guys can see it. But
Oh yeah, we can see the hill. Don't worry.
yeah, literally just there. There it is. Right there.
Wow.
Yeah, I found a cool hill, so I've been walking up there, spending some time with Jesus, playing guitar, writing some music. I actually wrote a diss track for you, James, but
For me?
Wow.
Yeah.
This track.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Preview, please.
Yeah,
Preview.
can we get a preview?
nope.
Oh.
Anyway,
Okay, thanks.
that's pretty much it. What else have I been doing? Oh, and like reading books, which is a little bit boring, but actually like
That's
kind of
cool.
low key good.
Books are cool. What kind of books have you been reading?
So at the moment, is it here? No, it's not. It's over there. I'm reading a book called Incomparable. So it talks about the characteristics and names of God.
That's cool.
Very, very good.
Can you give
So
us
just-
2 names?
Yep, Jehovah Jireh, which is the Lord my provider,
That's good.
and Jehovah Nisi, which is the Lord my banner.
Your banner.
Yep.
Whoa.
Like you know, like when you make a YouTube channel, you have the banner.
Oh, not like the banner like you hold up and you march around like in a protest.
Nah.
No?
When do you ever do that, James?
Say again?
When do you ever do that?
Mate,
All the
loads of
time.
times. I do that every weekend. Don't you see me doing that?
No, I don't know. That's very sad.
Okay, maybe I'll have to post more about it. But oh well. Anyway, hey,
Hey, what have you been doing?
what have I been doing? A bit of chilling. Oh, this meeting will end in 10 minutes. Okay. Upgrade. How do we upgrade? I don't know. All right, we've got 10 minutes left. Otherwise, we're in big trouble. Yeah, no, I've just been working from home a little bit, chilling a lot, just sorting out, cleaning stuff in the flat where I live. I'm trying to get out every day for a little bit of exercise. I said I wanted to get back into running because I haven't run since before Christmas, but realistically, I haven't actually done any running since I said I want to get back into running. So any tips on running, please do let me know because I want to get back into it. But
Just imagine the police are after you.
yeah, I could do that. I don't know what I did
Just
wrong,
find
but
They won't.
I'll just pretend like I took one too many extra toilet rolls and they're chasing after me wanting it back. But yeah,
Or
that's it.
punch my little brother in the face, then you can run.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, It probably
catches
could.
you.
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
Don't do that at home.
Yeah, maybe don't hit people.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, don't hit people. Go with
Don't
that.
do that. Yeah. Anyway, so we've been talking about fearless for the last couple of weeks, haven't we? Talking
Yeah.
about what it looks like to be fearless in this time of the coronavirus, in this crazy time of what's been going on, and like how we can stay strong during it and not kind of be too overwhelmed by all the kind of bad press about what's going on and all the anxiety and that kind of stuff. Hamish, tell us what's your kind of thought at the moment for this kind of season and how you're looking at kind of being fearless.
Yeah, well, before I say anything, if I live in the countryside, so if my internet's slow, boys, just tell me to say something again.
Okay.
Um,
Will do.
yeah, well, I think Jesus did a pretty good job of showing what fearlessness looked like. So I figured it might be a good job to go and figure out what he did in times. Well, not quite this, but because it was different. But if you have a Bible, get it out at Mark 4. If you don't, then don't worry about it because I'm going to be telling you anyway. The subtitle. Turn your dog off, man.
Bro, your dog's trying to preach. Karen Hamish.
Right, let me read. Verse 35, chapter 4 of Mark. That day when Jesus came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go to the other side." This is being the other side of the lake. Leaving the crowd behind, they took him just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall, so storm, came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the boat, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down and it was completely calm. His disciples said to him, "Why are you so..." Oh, no. And then he said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." And I think this is cool for a bunch of reasons. One is that these dudes in the boat with Jesus were fishermen. And so they're like, these boys know what the sea's like. Like, they know about storms. They know all that stuff. Yeah, they were out in the sea and they were terrified of a storm. So we're talking about a big storm going on here. And Jesus brought a cushion with him and he was just chilling out in this cushion. This would be if like a hurricane hit and then I was just out in a hammock. I brought a cushion out to the hammock and I was just chilling out in my hammock because it's just like, yeah, I want to have a nap. I don't really mind that the hurricane's like blowing all the houses down. I was going to have a nap. That's how crazy this is of Jesus. And I think what's cool is that Jesus isn't saying that who cares about storms? Like, it doesn't matter if there's a storm because storms aren't scary. He's saying that storms are actually pretty terrifying and like they're not ideal, but like I'm up here, like, and actually there's a fearlessness you can have which is above the storm. So I think looking at it with all the coronavirus stuff, if we're not going to, we don't have to be like, "Oh, coronavirus, it's not really that bad, is it? Like, not even a tenth of the world have it. Like, I'm not going to get it, so that I don't need to be worried." But the reality is, it is like a big deal, and we're in a pandemic, and like people are dying, and a lot of people are getting it, and it's like scary. But irrespective of the coronavirus being actually a pretty intense bad thing, Jesus is still above there. And because of that, we can now, like, because of what Jesus modeled, we can have that fearlessness. We can have that courage. We can have that peace, knowing that ultimately Jesus has got us. And we don't have to fear any evil. We don't have to fear these storms anymore. So just to encourage you guys at home, like, what you see on the news is real, all that stuff. I don't want to take it away and be like, "Oh, who cares? Don't worry about it," that stuff. Because it is like a real thing. But irrespective of it being real and like a threat to the world, we can still have peace. And that's exactly what Jesus wants us to do. And I just encourage you guys that in this time, just be seeking Jesus in whatever way that looks like for you. We have a lot more time now, and there is like church is cool, and youth school and all of like the programs that we're usually running are really cool, but we now get time just to spend a lot more time with actually the person of Jesus.
Yeah.
Church and groups and like gatherings and culture house and all these things that we do, they're nothing without Jesus. He's the main role.
Yeah.
And we still have full access to him at home, which is awesome. And I'm learning a lot about that. And I'm learning a lot about what it means to seek Jesus in this time. And I just encourage you guys, make one practical step like each day. Be like, okay, I'm gonna read the Bible. I'm gonna read 2 verses a day.
Yeah.
Because when doing that, our mind becomes transformed. The Bible says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That is when we just let the Holy Spirit, who's God in us, just do His stuff, and that happens when we're just in the Word and when we're praying and we're spending that time. So I just encourage you guys to just keep doing that. It's awesome.
Definitely, that's so cool, man. I love that picture of like how just during the storm and during all the craziness, doesn't matter what's going on. Jesus is just so still and just so peaceful through it all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it could be absolute carnage going on outside, but he's just there chilling. Like he's not worried, he's not scared, he's not anxious, he's not fearless.
Yeah.
Like
Pretty good.
he's just chilled. Like he's not worried about a single thing. And I love that
For sure.
picture. And imagine if we could apply that to our lives today. Like, you know, all the craziness of what's going on and all the deaths we hear about in the news and all the crazy things of it spreading different countries. It's like, imagine if we could just get the same peace that Jesus had through what he had in his storm. Imagine if we could have that in the storm right now. I think that would just completely set us free and like so just set us free from anxiety, from fear, from just being held back. Like God doesn't want us to be held back. He created amazing lives for us, and we can only live those amazing lives if we're not held back by fear. Like we can't do that if we're held back by fear. I think it's just an amazing image just of Jesus being so still and peaceful. Like that's available for all of us. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. Like that's available for every single one of us, every single one of you guys watching the stream tonight. Like that peace is available for you, which I think is so amazing. Hey Jibs, how about you just pray for us and just pray for that peace that God can bring to us and bring in our lives.
I have less than a minute, so I'm gonna pray quick. Father, I thank you so much that you called us to live a life of fearlessness, God, and I thank you that you're in our boat with us, God, and even though it seems like everything around us is failing and doing badly, God, I thank you that you're there and you're peaceful and you're the Prince of Peace. So, Father, I just declare right now that you'll fill us all with your supernatural peace, God, that our hearts will be full of your presence, God, and we will be living lives that are fearless and completely dependent on you, Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So cool. Hey, if you want to ask any questions or chat to anyone about what's going on in your lives, I would love to chat to you. Would love to be a part of what you're going through. So feel free to message a group leader or message us on the Instagram, or just anyone who's around in your life who you can trust and they're going to speak positivity. I would love to be able to help you in that. If you're part of a group, make sure you chat to your group leaders. If you're not in a group, would love to get you into a group. Just again, message us on Instagram. I think that's amazing. And hey, Sunday morning we've got church online at 10 a.m., which is going to be so much fun. If you haven't already joined us for it, it is a lot of fun. The chat opens from 9:30, so we're going to be hanging out from 9:30, just going crazy and berserk on the chat. And then the service actually starts at 10 o'clock, so we're going to be hanging out then. So make sure you do join us. And if you've got any questions, any stuff you want to ask, or if you want to help in any way, then also head over to the City Coast Church website, which is literally citycoast.church. We've got a load of links, a load of things there that can help people or can give you resources for whatever reason. Oh, I think the other guys are cut out, so that's a little bit awkward. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we shall see you guys on Sunday. Have a good night.